Abiodun Henderson, hailing from, well, actually, she was born and raised in Brooklyn, but she's working and living in West Atlanta. She's a social entrepreneur, community organizer. She's executive director of the Come Up Project and Gangstas to Growers, which we're going to talk about. Hi, Abiodun.
Greetings.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm well, as well as we can be.
Yeah, considering the situation. So, I didn't want to start this conversation without, since we're talking about communities and communities of color in particular, talking about the unfortunate and I guess somewhat predictable situation that we're in that communities of color and are being impacted by the coronavirus at disproportionately greater rates than other communities. But I think it's emblematic of the kind of thing that we've seen over time anyway. So I would love to, I don't know, just get a sense from you, like what's happening in the community right now that you're working in.
Well, at first we thought as Black folks that we weren't susceptible to this disease. Mm-hmm. So we were, participating in our regular activities, which is funny. It's probably based off the history. It was like, yay, finally, we're not affected by something. Yeah. It's not and let's get this party started. And then now we're seeing that because our immune systems aren't as strong, because of the food that is in our neighborhoods or our lack of access to healthy foods and that herbal knowledge that was with our ancestors has kind of been lost throughout the generations. We haven't been able to take the best care of ourselves. So now we are some of the most affected. Also, we have to work. We don't have the privilege or luxury. A lot of us do not have the privilege or luxury to stay at home and work from home. When I was living in New Orleans, and worked in the restaurants down in the French Quarters, everyone was Black. The back of the house, the casinos, the whole service industry, which is what keeps New Orleans alive, is everyone is Black. And here in Atlanta, we're lucky that we haven't been hit the hardest. I think the warm weather has been good for us. All the different things, and Atlanta is pretty. We have a vibrant vegan community, a vibrant holistic community here in Atlanta. So we're not getting hit as hard as Chicago, New York, and other cities. But that's it.
Okay, thank you for that context. Can you talk a little bit about your work with the Come Up Project and Gangstas to Growers and community farming in general, and like its role in kind of resilience and that sort of thing with regards to situations like this?
Yeah, well, speaking of that farming, I got to give thanks to my ancestors representing the Crew tribe, KRU, the Crew tribe of Liberia, which we've been known to be the hardest to enslave historically. And just thinking about that background, the African background, and how we were rich with the knowledge of agriculture, which is one of the reasons why us as Black people, African people, were brought here to the Americas to use that agricultural knowledge. So with the Come Up Project, when I became a community organizer with Occupy the Hood, the brother Malik Rasan was like, food first, programs in the community. I was like, yes. And several years later in 2016, after, witnessing what was going on in the community, doing a camp with different workshops for a few years, being put into the agricultural the Black farmers world here in Atlanta, and seeing there was a lack of labor. The farmers just couldn't, because farming and our food isn't really respected as it should be in this country. The people that do the work to get us the food that we need to live isn't really respected. These farmers are struggling. They couldn't afford labor. So, and the youth, they needed money. They're out here in the streets doing whatever they can and gentrifying neighborhoods, jealous of the folks that are coming in with all these wonderful things and are getting in trouble because of it, right? Poverty breeds theft and crime. So with all that, I was like, okay, Gangstas to Growers, we're going to take 18 to 24-year-olds from the west side of Atlanta, get them paid $15 an hour through the city, through the Workforce Development Office in the city, and let them experience what farming really is about. A lot of Black people in this country are traumatized. They look at soil and they see pain, trauma. They're just like, no, my ancestors were enslaved. Y'all was whipping us. No, I'm not growing this food. That's slave work. That's slave work. I've heard so many leaders around the country, Black leaders that are in the farming world, or Black farmers, which to me are leaders, right? Say that, kids have been yanked from gardening programs because their parents were like, no, you ain't doing that slave work, right? Which is like horrible. We lived with that agricultural knowledge. So we just want to get folks back to the land. The land is healing. The soil itself pulls toxins out of your body. Food is life, and right now we're not eating the right things.
Right.
So we're not eating the right things. So we said, okay, we're going to get them on all these farms, Black farmers specifically, because the youth need to see themselves within these farmers in order to feel empowered. But we knew the money and just them learning how to grow food and being a labor force for these farmers, we knew that wasn't enough. That's just not going to cut it. It's not going to heal our community and get us on the right track to getting generational wealth and just loving each other unconditionally like we need to survive, right? So we added yoga, why should I only have the privilege? Me and my friends have the privilege of doing yoga. They did art, they're doing art therapy, right? During the last program, where they're able to just color and talk. And I was amazed myself how well that worked. It was another young person that came and brought that to us. And I'm gonna run through these really quick, but shout out to Fort Negrita for Anna Marie of Fort Negrita for her environmental responsibility education that they get every week, where they learn how to become zero wasters. They learn, we empty the garbage and figure out where everything is supposed to go, extractive and energy, what's regenerative. Business classes at Clark Atlanta. We do nutritional cooking with all different vegan chefs that are in Atlanta. Boxing, writing, political education. We have grassroots leaders like Mary Hooks from Song that came to do several workshops and taught the youth how to navigate their local government, right? Who's first, who's second, who's last? What do you need to do to get something pushed forward through local government? We did so many different workshops: African history, sex education, know your rights training with Maoli Davis from Davis and Bozeman Law Firm. We just keep adding things because it's about the whole mind, spirit, and body. Wow. When it comes to our community. And most of the youth that are under 23, I think our oldest trainee is 23, have children.
Wow, incredible. Children. And so can you talk a little bit about, so just thinking of what, that transformation, somebody, whatever happened, got incarcerated, probably because of the drug war or something like that, but they come out of prison, and then they get into your program. Can you talk about that transformation? Is there also I didn't realize you had all these all these other services around. Is also this health transformation? Is it they're becoming entrepreneurs, they're becoming healthy, they're becoming hard? Tell us a little bit about that transformation. That sounds like a really beautiful thing to behold and watch as it's happening.
Yeah, so for us, we're getting youth that have been incarcerated within the Westside neighborhoods of West End, Asheville Heights, Westview. And when we're surrounding them with so many people with all this knowledge, because all the classes I mentioned are taught by different people. And we've seen, for example, Quan, our first trainee from 2016, he'll talk about, hey, I found somebody on Instagram and they're talking about spirulina and wheatgrass and how you should eat your food and what fruits and vegetables. I see him becoming a political activist, walking around his neighborhood, talking about gentrification. He's telling the young people, hey, get a job, let's work. You got to make this money. It's not, it's not productive, good for your mind, spirit, and body to be on these corners. You will get locked up. He himself has become an inspiration along with a few of the other young people. And what's really, once you're a gangster grower, you always are, because we're building a worker-owned cooperative. We have a great product called Sweet Soul. Shout out to Beyonce, who when she said hot sauce in my bag swag, we were part of a Black farmers cooperative called SWAG, so Southwest Atlanta Growers Cooperative. And I was like, oh, we're going to make hot sauce. So we make Sweet Soul with lavender, turmeric, dark muscovado sugar. And now we have hired some of our former trainees to become part-time employees. They call themselves developers. They are developers of the cooperative. And we're building worker-owned businesses, which we know is the future in order for everyone to be sustained. We have over 500,000 homeless people in this nation.
Wow.
Which we are touted as the richest country in the world, and all these different lies, because what are riches, right? Food, clothing, shelter, healthy food, what are riches? Really. But yeah, so we're doing that. And then during this time of COVID, I should let you ask another question.
Yeah, we need to, we're trying to do these super fast interviews.
Yes.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Yes.
So clearly there are communities just like yours all over the country, just as you're saying, and the number of homeless people and so forth. Can you think of some kind of political engagement on a national level that can happen to encourage this type of entrepreneurship in communities around the country, as opposed to doing what we have to do now and kind of organizing locally without the national, without government really appreciating what's happening or contributing to it?
Well, I'll say everything starts locally. Research cooperatives. There are hundreds of worker-owned cooperatives, farmers co-ops, buying co-ops, food, grocery co-ops all over the country that you get plugged in. There's national organizations. There's Federation of Southern Cooperatives, national organizations all over the country. Go and see local government and pushing that. But really everything starts locally. It grows from there. During this time, we've been involved with a lot of mutual aid organizations. So with a bunch of other organizers, we've developed a mutual aid fund for Atlanta, the Mama Fund. So research mutual aid, because organizers that are grassroots, they're talking about mutual aid, and that's where you can plug in for real.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abiodun. This was enlightening, and it's really great to hear about the work you're doing in the communities, and it's so important for us to kind of highlight that and elevate it. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, brother. Yeah.